Hi, this is Leslie with Simply Vegan, and I'm a down-home vegan. And so today we're going to teach you how to home can your beans. Now, beans that you buy at the grocery store in the can are convenient to have, but home canned beans are a little softer. You can regulate how much sodium you want to have in them. They're wonderful to put on your salads, to make casseroles. Today we're doing garbanzo beans. These are soft and beautiful for making hummus, and there's a wonderful variety of hummuses that you can make: garlic, roasted red pepper, garlic and herb. So let's get started. Okay, we're gonna take a look at our dried beans that you buy at the grocery store. Look for ones that are good quality. There's not a lot of broken beans and discolored beans. When you get them, spread them out on a dish towel. Look for any stones or anything that doesn't look like you'd want to eat it, and just pull those out. Then rinse your beans and put them in some water to soak. They're going to at least double. So you want to put plenty of water in the pot. Now I have a large pot here. I filled it about 1/3 of the way with beans, and then just maybe an inch or two from the top of the pot, and they were out of the water this morning, so I had to add more water to them. So after you have soaked them, change the water. That will help to reduce some of the gassiness of the beans. Plenty of water again, and bring them to a simmer and let them simmer for 30 minutes before you plan on canning them. Get yourself some boiling water ready to go. You're going to put these on top of your beans. And if you want salt in your beans, you want to have your salt ready. We're going to do 1/2 teaspoon per pint or a teaspoon per quart. And you're going to need some lids, and you're going to need some rings. Now the lids come in a little box. They used to say that you had to sterilize them. That's not the rule of thumb anymore. You can just go ahead and wash them with soapy water and they'll be just fine. So I have a funnel and my clean canning jars. I'm using pints today. Take your garbanzo beans, or your beans that have been cooked for 30 minutes, and you want to leave about 1 inch of headspace. So I have too many in here. Just take a few out, about 1 inch, and then put in your salt. I'm going to use a scant 1/2 teaspoon today, and then boiling water on the beans. That will help to distribute the salt evenly. And again, we want to leave about 1 inch of headspace. Take a paper towel or a clean towel and wipe around the lip of the jar. Put your clean lid on and your canning ring. Snug it down. You don't have to really hunker down on it, but give it a little snug, and then go ahead and put it in your canner. Now, if you are doing pints, this will fit about 9 pint jars. So now I've completed filling all of those jars, and I have them in the canner. There's about 2 to 3 inches of water in the canner, which I did go ahead and preheat just a little bit, seeing as I was putting hot beans with hot water in hot jars into the water. I didn't want to have any bottoms cracking on me, so I preheated the kettle a little bit. Then we're going to take our lid. Now on the lid there's a sealing ring, a rubber ring on here that may periodically need to be replaced. If it starts leaking on you, just go to your local hardware store and get a new ring to slip under there. It'll also give you a new gasket for the little pressure valve. So we're going to put this on the kettle and we're going to tighten it down. We're not going to put the weight on it yet. This will help to regulate the pressure, to keep the pressure at where you want it. We're not going to put that on for now. We're just going to turn the heat up high and let steam come out of here for 10 minutes before we try to regulate the pressure. So here we have the kettle steaming. I don't know if you can see the steam coming out here. But that's been steaming like that for 10 minutes. So now it's time for us to put the weight on the kettle. And when we do that, we're going to start watching the pressure gauge on the front of the kettle. We want it to get to 10 pounds of pressure. So we'll leave it going at full speed until we get to that 10 pounds of pressure. And then we're going to start cranking down the temperature. And what I'm going to do is set my timer. I have a little hand timer. I'm going to set this for about every 5 minutes to check the pressure until we find that sweet spot. And you will find a place on the dial where it's exactly right for keeping it at 10 pounds of pressure. Again, we're going to process the pints for 1 hour and 15 minutes. So this isn't a job that you can do while you're in and out of the house. You need to be able to be available to frequently check this. So this is going to take a few minutes for the pressure to get up. It's starting to climb already, but like I said, we're going to get to 10 pounds of pressure. I've reached 10 pounds of pressure, so I'm going to turn my dial down on my stove to about 4 or 3, and I'm going to turn my little hand timer on to check this in about 5 or 10 minutes. Well, do 5. The temperature the gauge shouldn't get too out of control in that amount of time. So regular checking is key when you're doing a pressure canner. You do not want the pressure to be shooting up into that dangerous zone over here where it's black. And if you leave it for 20 minutes, you just may get there. So check frequently, let it run for 1 hour and 15 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. If you are at an altitude above 2,000 feet above sea level, you'll want to check on the internet or get a ball canning book or something like that to find out how many pounds of pressure you should be doing for your altitude. Okay, we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so here we are 1.5 hours later, and we are ready to open up our kettle. Now, first thing that we did is we let it cool completely. That means that this little pressure valve over here on the middle of the thing has dropped down, as well as the gauge going down to 0. And then after that happened, we wait another 2 full minutes before we open it up. I don't think it would open up if there was any pressure involved at all, because it has a locking system, or it should. If yours, they all should have a locking system, but they may not. Lift it up. It's going to be hot, so be very careful. And then they're still bubbling a little bit inside of here, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull them out. Look at that. Is that beautiful or what? Oh, and they're so soft and they're so delicious. I'm going to take them all out and put them over here. We want to leave some space between them so that they have room to cool. Did you hear that little pop? When they're perfectly sealed, this is going to pop on the inside, and you'll hear lots of little popping going on as these things cool. Give them space, and then we're going to wait about 12 hours before we take the rings off. Before you store them long storage, you're going to want to make sure that they actually have processed properly by testing the lid. That one I just popped in. We don't want to go around and pop them all in, but if you go to test one and it's bouncing in and out on you, put that one in the refrigerator and use that one up first. There we go. Now I have a second batch that I'm going to put in because I did so many, but they are done. Make sure that you take a Sharpie and write the date on there that you canned those. Clean up the jars a little bit, put them on your shelf. You're going to have the best garbanzos ever. Till next time, eat for strength. Thanks.